Yes, I'm from Carymoor Environmental Trust, and we are an environmental education and nature conservation charity based not too far away, just up the road at near Castle Cary. And really I wanted to just tell you a little bit about our education work and how we try and inspire schools and community groups to really get involved, to live more sustainably. So Carymoor as a charity was set up back in 1996, so been running for almost 25 years now, and we're all about trying to get people to come to our site and to go out into the community and to really get them going away and living more sustainably, and connecting with nature as well is a big part of what we do. So we have an environmental education programme, so quite a broad range of environmental education that we do for schools, colleges, adult learners, families. We have a volunteering for wellbeing programme, and probably most importantly, when the charity first started, we lease about 80 acres of capped landfill, and over the last 25 years we've been transforming that area of landfill into a nature reserve. So it's quite an incredible transformation really to take a landfill capped with two metres of clay. Underneath it's about 15 metres deep with waste. So within that area there's something like 2 million cubic metres of waste buried in the ground at the site where we are. So if you've lived locally, particularly in South Somerset or Mendip, pretty much anything you've thrown away since probably 1970 in your bin or in a black bag is lurking somewhere under the surface there. So when I first went to the site, I found it very strange to think that things that I threw away as a child were still lurking under the surface there, and particularly when you think about just how long things last in landfill. A disposable nappy might last 450 years in landfill. Things like glass and plastic obviously will take a very well, glass won't break down, plastic will take a very long time too. So it's this sort of extraordinary time capsule. So that site, when we first took it on back in 1996, it was just completely bare clay, and our ecologist came in, and the first thing he did was to split this 80-acre area into different compartments with different habitats. So we've created meadows, wetland, woodland, we've planted up hedgerows. So really taking this blank brownfield through to a nature reserve, and now the nature has just progressively got better and better over time. And it's that, I suppose, thing of nature abhors a vacuum. If you get the conditions right, the wildlife will come to the site. So it's been fascinating seeing that transformation really. And on a brownfield site, I think also you can try things that perhaps you wouldn't want to try on pristine land elsewhere. So you can try some different things. So it's quite an unusual nature reserve because we have all of these different mosaics of habitats all really closely located next to each other. And over time, we have sort of 30 different types of butterfly there. We have harvest mouse, we have foxes, badgers, deer. It's incredible how the site has come back to life. And as it's got better and better, it's made it such a sort of fertile base for environmental education as well. So yeah, there's some lovely pictures here which I'm enjoying. And also we've had lots of input from local specialist groups and from local and national conservation groups who all play a part in helping us to manage the site, in advising us. And we've always been really keen to get the local community involved and to have a stake in the site as well. So, as you can imagine, the site is around about 100 acres, so it's an awful lot of land to manage. So we're really dependent on volunteers to come and help us with that process. And we do a lot of the conservation work in very traditional ways, so it's things like coppicing, hedge laying, scything, and obviously we've heard so much in the last couple of years about the benefits to health and well-being of being outside in nature. And we've seen sort of time and again, we have volunteers that are referred to us by health coaches in our local GP's offices but the demand for people to get outside, to connect with nature, to do something really active and meaningful on a nature reserve has the demand. We now run 3 volunteer groups. I think we're probably going to be running another 1 or 2 in the next few months as well. So the demand is there. And for those volunteers, being out, seeing the nature, helping to create the habitats, seeing the wildlife coming back to the site, it really gives them an awful lot of a sense of pleasure, and then seeing how the site is also used for education. There's a huge amount of benefit to it. So Carymoor is also very much about sustainability in practice. I'm going to show you a picture, I think, because so this is our visitor centre, just so you can see where we're based. So it's a lovely eco centre, and it's got lots of different sustainable features. Quite familiar with it? Yeah. So that is very much the base of our operation, and we're an environmental education charity, so that's very much the base for all of our visiting groups. And we're really keen, obviously, when a school group comes out to us, we want them to have a good day, but clearly what we really want them to do is to take the message back to school and to take it back to their family as well. So the idea of having all these, we have solar panels, photovoltaic shingles, reed beds, we have a variety of different sustainable buildings. So we have a hempcrete building, roundhouse, a timber frame visitor centre. So we really want the visiting groups to be inspired by that and to take the messages home. And also, frankly, when sustainable technology doesn't work as well, we'll share that experience. We've had plenty of things that haven't worked over the years. Timber frame buildings sort of settling and big gaps opening above these lovely triple glazed windows. Things don't always work as you would envisage, so we've definitely learned as we've gone on over the last 20 or so years. But environmental education is really the core of what we do. So each year, about 120 schools come out to us, and about 65% of those are from Somerset. So we've worked with most of the schools in the county over the last 25 years. So around about 4,000 children and students come out to us for environmental education days. We also run conservation and craft courses for a partnership with Somerset Skills and Learning. So again, getting people out learning a lot of conservation skills, rural skills that are generally in decline too. As well as family learning, activity days. We do respite days for young carers as well. And again, the environmental education, one of the key, when the site first started, we were able to take school groups right up to the landfill tipping face, and I think it's one of those things, no matter how many times you've seen it, it really resonates with you when you see the scale of the waste issue. You're standing there in front of it and you're seeing a 40-ton compactor going back and forward, crushing all this waste. You never feel the same about putting something in your bin. It's just a really potent catalyst for change. And in recent times, the landfill has now closed and is now being replaced by a waste transfer station. So the waste is now going to a energy from waste plant up in Avonmouth. So again, we can now take the children in to go and see the waste transfer station, where they can see the waste being bulked up before it goes off to Avonmouth. We can show them the composting operation, these huge windrows of compost, where the compost goes from garden waste that's collected from your from recycling centres or garden bins. Within 12 to 16 weeks, goes to the finished compost, so they can see these big processes. And it's the power really of seeing things firsthand, of getting out of the school classroom and seeing those things firsthand. I think it really resonates with groups. We do wild days out as well, so pond dipping, sensory walks, mini beast hunting, really again getting children out and just trying to foster that love of the natural world. It's absolutely fundamental, isn't it? If you don't love the natural world, why would you protect it? So it's really fundamental that we want them to go away having a better understanding of the local wildlife around them. And just all around the site we have a range of different wildlife mats, so you can get the children around it, lifted up, and it is amazing how often you'll see a slow worm, a grass snake, a vole's nest, and sometimes they're things that children just don't appreciate are on their doorstep. And even in a county like Somerset, it's amazing how often we will have teachers say, you know, these children don't ever come out to a space like this. So even in a rural county like Somerset, that connection with nature is perhaps not as good as it once was. And we also do history days. I don't know if you can see here, but we do history days, but still very much with a focus of sustainability. And just the idea really that sustainability is obviously not something new, and we do Stone Age, Celts, Anglo-Saxons, Viking days. And of course, in past history, our ancestors always used resources that were around them and lived sustainably. They lived in roundhouses that were made from wattle and daub and were thatched by local reed as well. So again, it's a way of getting across the children through hands-on activities, getting them to grind wheat with a quernstone, making hurdles with willow, using local and natural materials, and understanding that all of these things are sustainable and replenishable. Well, you can't quite see that, but on our Vikings days as well, very appropriately, we have bin lids for their shields. Another really large aspect of our work is the work we've done with Somerset Waste Partnership. So since 2018, our Schools Against Waste project we've been working with schools right across Somerset to really get home that reduce, reuse, recycle message, which is, I think, sort of fundamental if you're a government, a business or an individual, that those three R's remain fundamentally the way to go, that actually reducing consumption, reducing waste are always the key messages. And with our world population rising to 9 billion, it's reckoned by 2050, and obviously everyone aspiring to live better, more affluent lives, that is sort of a key challenge for us. So since 2018 in Somerset, we've reached about 40,000 children across Somerset through an assembly, and about 18,000 of those children have also taken part in a workshop. So something about 290 visits we've done, and we're aiming to get to every school in Somerset. And as well as providing workshops around composting and food waste, helping them recycle more, it's fundamentally helping the schools to do more in school, helping them to set up better recycling, setting up reuse systems as well. And of course, the main focus of our work over the last period has been focusing on the new Carymoor recycling service that's currently come to Mendip and South Somerset, and we're now focusing on Taunton Dean. So if any of you do have schools that you have links with, do please pass them in our direction. We'd love to hear from them. And then from January through to March, we're focusing on the Sedgemoor area, and then west sort of after that as well. So we're trying to get around to as many schools as possible. And of course, it used to be a case that one of the team would go into a school and do visits in person, and of course in recent times that hasn't been possible, so it's been lots of virtual sessions, and my colleagues have had a very strange experience of doing assemblies for 300 children while sitting at their kitchen table. A very, very strange experience indeed, but it has worked really, really well, finding interactive ways to use the technology, and of course less carbon as well. Just in terms of support for schools, during the workshop session, we were talking an awful lot about how important it is to collaborate and the importance of parishes to not feel that they have to constantly reinvent the wheel. So sharing information, sharing ideas that work seemed a really excellent way forward. And it did really remind me, there's lots of support out there for schools, but the Eco Schools scheme is an international scheme, and it is a really brilliant initiative in terms of structuring how schools approach environmental issues. So it's the idea of eco schools is it involves the whole school community. So the children are very much involved in the decision making. The staff, parents, caretaking staff, everyone within that community is involved. And you develop an action plan to really prioritise where can you make the most difference. So you don't have it. Basically, you put it in steps, so you don't have to do everything in one go. You break it up into chunks, and it's such a good framework for approaching environmental issues and learning and building as you go. Really, so forming that action plan and really importantly, measuring the difference, because I think it's only when you measure the difference and you can see how things have changed as a result, what's working, what's not working, but it keeps that momentum and excitement going. If you're just writing documents, it can feel quite dry, but clearly what we all want to do is make a difference and take action. That's fundamentally what it's about. So I think I'm right on cue. Yes, our website is carymoor.org.uk. If we can help with anything, do feel free to get in touch. It would be great to hear from you. And yes, reduce, reuse and recycle. Thank you very much.